So today, we're diving into some of the most personal and honestly, some of the most piercing words in the entire Bible, Jesus' letters to the 7 churches. Now, this isn't just ancient history, okay? What if these letters are actually a secret key, a mirror, held up to the human heart, maybe even your own? All right, I want you to imagine something with me. Picture yourself walking through the dust of modern-day Turkey, right? You're in the ruins of an ancient city, like Ephesus or Laodicea. You see these broken stones, crumbling pillars all around you. And it's so easy to just see them as, well, historical sites, right? Like museum pieces, just frozen in time. But you have to remember, these weren't always ruins. They were once these vibrant, bustling centers of faith. I mean, these cities held churches, and those churches were filled with real people. People with real struggles, people with incredible faith, and yeah, people with some pretty devastating compromises. Sound familiar? They were a lot like us. So that begs the question, right? Why? Out of all the stories of all the churches throughout all of history, why did Jesus make sure these 7 letters were preserved for 2,000 years? I can tell you one thing, it definitely wasn't for a history lesson. No, the reason he preserved them is so much more intimate, so much more personal. He kept them for us because they are a perfect, timeless description of the human heart and its relationship with God. In a very real way, they're our story. Okay, so to really get these letters, we have to see the vision that kicks this whole thing off. We need to see Jesus not as some distant figure from a book, but as he shows up at the very beginning of Revelation, about to perform this loving, careful examination of the heart. You know, the book of Revelation, it's a book that people so often connect with fear and confusion, right? But the way it opens is, well, it's pretty surprising. It doesn't open with terrifying beasts or bowls of wrath or these huge cosmic judgments you might be expecting. No, it opens with this stunningly intimate picture of Jesus Christ himself. And he's not on a throne, he's not leading some angelic army, he's just walking, slowly, carefully among 7 golden lampstands. And the Bible tells us exactly what those lampstands are. They're his churches, his people, and he's right there with them, seeing everything so clearly. Nothing is hidden. And this, right here, is where history becomes a deeply personal mirror for our own souls. As we listen to Jesus speak to these churches, we have to ask ourselves a really honest question. Are these just stories about ancient congregations, or is he actually describing the state of my heart, right here, right now? Think about this. To one church, a church that was doctrinally perfect. I mean, they had everything right. They stood firm against false teachers. He says this, "You have not denied my name," which is amazing, right? But then he says, "But you have left your first love." He sees their correctness, he commends it, but his gaze goes deeper, right to the coldness in their heart. And then to another church, he gives what might be one of the most chilling diagnoses you can imagine. He says, "You have a reputation for being alive, but you are dead." Wow. I mean, they looked the part. They had the name, the activity, the whole outward appearance of spiritual life. But inside, where only he could see, there was nothing. And this is what's so wild. Look at how perfectly these ancient conditions translate to our lives today. You have Ephesus, right? Correct doctrine, but cold love. What's that look like now? It's being strong in what you believe, but weak, really weak in actual intimacy with Christ. Or Sardis, a reputation for being alive, but spiritually dead. That's the person who looks so active, always busy, but inside, there's no fire. And then there's Laodicea, rich in comfort, but so poor in surrender. That's the heart that's just comfortable. So comfortable in this life that it hasn't surrendered to anything or anyone greater than itself. And you know, here's where it hits even closer to home. Sometimes these conditions, they don't just describe different types of people or churches. Sometimes they describe different seasons of a single soul. I mean, be honest. Have you maybe lived through 1 or 2 of these yourself? I think we all have. This is why this next part is so crucial. Every single one of these letters ends with the exact same invitation. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. Now, notice what it doesn't say. It doesn't say, "Hey, pastors, listen up." This isn't some memo just for church leadership. This is a personal, direct invitation for you, for me, for anyone who will listen. And this personal examination, it leads us to a really critical warning.
It's a warning about the single greatest threat to our faith, especially as we get closer to the end of the age. And I'm telling you, it's probably not what you're thinking.
See, according to these letters from Jesus himself, the great deception of the end times, it's not going to start with some obvious monstrous evil that we can all point to. No, it's going to start subtly. It'll begin with a comfortable religion that has no real intimacy with Christ. It's going to look like belief without obedience, faith without any fire. It's having a Christian identity without any real gut-level surrender. So, let me just ask you, straight up, what do you think is the greatest threat to your faith? Really think about it. Is it persecution? Is it some aggressive atheist on the internet? A political ideology? Well, these letters suggest the real danger is much, much closer to home. The greatest threat is indifference, lukewarmness, that casual, comfortable distance from the God who is a consuming fire. See, the greatest danger isn't a passionate hatred of Jesus. It's a polite, respectable indifference toward him. But, and this is the beautiful part, that warning is never, ever the final word. Every single letter, every sharp rebuke from Jesus is just drenched in mercy. And this is where we see the promise that's given to the overcomers, the profound hope that's available for every single repentant heart. You have to get this. The same Jesus who walks among the lampstands, the one who exposes our compromise and our coldness with eyes like fire, he is the very same king who will one day rule the coming kingdom. His warning right now is his mercy. He's preparing a people for what is to come. And the path he lays out for us, the path of the overcomer, it's so clear. First, we just have to have an ear to hear what the Spirit is saying to us, personally. Second, when we hear it, we repent and we return. Third, we make the choice to remain faithful, even when everyone around us is compromising. And fourth, for those who do, we get to inherit the unbelievable promise of the kingdom. Because here's the bottom line. The kingdom of Christ will not be inherited by accident. It's not something we just drift into it. It will be received by hearts that have been intentionally, purposely refined by the fire of surrender. Not perfect hearts, no, but repentant hearts. So, we end right back where we started, looking into that personal mirror. The question isn't which ancient church do I find most interesting. The real question is this. If Jesus were to walk up to you right now, today, which of these conditions is he lovingly and mercifully trying to expose in your heart? Because this isn't just some history lesson. This is a present reality. The king is still walking among the lampstands. He is still examining hearts. He's still calling his people back to their first love. And the kingdom? Well, the kingdom is closer than any of us think.